I'm sorry, man, I just totally had a brain fart your name.
That's all right, keep going.
Keep going,
This
keep
is
going,
good
keep going.
stuff.
Alright,
Yeah.
one more time. Dr.
Pryor.
Pryor, thank
Yeah.
you. I was gonna say anyway, Dr. Lance joined us here, Dr. Pryor. And we've heard a lot from our wives, our friends, our spouses, girlfriends. One thing that I think is prevalent to all of this is that it affects more than just the women in our lives. It affects their families, their friends, their careers, more importantly, their spouses. A lot of times we are, I don't know about you guys, but from a lot of my culture, I come from a lot of old school culture where, you know, men are born, bred, raised as providers, you know, caregivers and guys that, you know, we're there to protect their families. And being blindsided by something that we can't see, that we at first don't know how to identify, I think also makes a dramatic impact on us as well. And that's some of the things I'd like for us to talk about. I'm glad to see you guys are open for it. When we first got the word that our significant others were just getting sick and we couldn't explain it, what were some of your first reactions?
Is she hypochondriac? I think it was said in the woman section, you know, is it mental? But the more research you do, then the more people you meet, I think it's obvious that it's not that. My initial one was that. It is what it is.
Now you guys, you and your wife have had probably the most exposure to this entire thing. When you first encountered this with your wife, what were some of the first thoughts?
They had no idea what it was. It was just same thing. This is in your head. There's nothing. There's no relation. Implants are safe.
But what were your
Can't be that.
thoughts? What were your thoughts though on that?
We really had no idea. We had no idea that there was a correlation between the two.
Yeah.
We just kept thinking something's wrong, but we don't know what it was.
And with our children, our kids, obviously we want their mothers to be involved. And I can speak from experience that a lot of times, you know, when the mother is up in bed because she just has no more energy, she has expelled every ounce of energy she had in the first half of the day. And she can't explain what she's doing.
We experienced it more so probably in the last 5 to 6 months with Melissa just being so lethargic and so tired and just not knowing why. So kind of as a reward to her, I would let her sleep till noon, 1 o'clock on the weekends, and the kids would be like, "Where's mommy?" I'm like, "She just doesn't feel good." And you know, it got to the point where it was just like, "Does mommy not feel good again today?" I'm like, "Yeah, but she'll be okay later today." And it was just part of our, you know, what we did. I mean, it was just the way of life, and you know, thankfully it was through the winter. We couldn't do much anyway, so we were cooped up inside. But now we're getting back outside, and you know, the kids are excited to be outside, and Melissa's feeling awesome. So she's been able to get outside kind of minimal. You know, she's not exceeding any requirements right now. And so from that standpoint, you know, our life is starting to get a lot more active again and a lot more energized and a lot more positive. You know, we were in a rut. It was tough. So, especially for the kids and me. You know, I mean, I'm a creature of habit, and like you said, being a provider, and you're the dad, and this is how it is, and you know, we need to do this, this, and this, and you'll be okay. And you know, you keep seeing all these signs, and she goes through all these lists of things, and I get 5,000 instant messages of all the research, and I'm like, she's like, you read them, like maybe 5 of them. I haven't got to the other 25 yet, but it was definitely insightful to know that there was that much support out there for it.
Yeah, I think a lot of that too. I got message after message after message. My messenger profile would be just loaded with stuff. She's like, "Did you read this?" "Yeah." "What'd you think?" Like, "Babe, I haven't finished it. I just got done reading the first 3 that you sent me, and you're asking me about this one." And yeah, give me some time here. This is a lot to process. And I think that's one of the key things is that here we are learning along just with our wives and with our significant others, and just the amount of information that's out there and the support is just amazing. I think the support for everyone that's getting implants has grown dramatically. What I'd like to get more in depth with, and no man openly and ardently likes to talk about his feelings, but first thoughts when you knew something was wrong. Something was definitely wrong, without question. What were some of your first thoughts, first reactions?
Well, for me, you know, it was a 20-year journey, so it started out shortly after we kind of met, really, and I knew her as this person, and then we got married, and she was another person, and it was confusing. I didn't know what to think. And you know, Kevin had said earlier, well, you know, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking she's a hypochondriac. I don't know, and I felt bad thinking that, but I felt helpless and didn't know how to help her or what to do. And it was just, we were in a, like Ryan said, we were in a major rut. It just seemed like it was Groundhog Day. Every day was the same thing, over and over and over. And it really took a toll on our marriage and our relationship with our friends and everything, our families. It totally destroyed our relationships. And it was really difficult. It was a horrible journey. And then when we found out that we figured what it was just the biggest relief. It was just, wow, I see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's not a train. You know, it's actually a light. And when they were removed, it was like, whew, just we just took a deep breath. It was like, oh, I can't believe this. This is actually happening. She's getting well.
Anybody else share that same idea?
Yeah, I would say we felt that way with a lot of Melissa's stuff, and yeah, it was like a battle. I mean, I engaged with my wife. We had a couple dates, and then she had implants. So it was kind of like the conversation with a lot of my friends. Man, you got the best of both worlds. Your wife got brand new, you know, boobs, and you didn't have to pay for them, and you know. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's great, but you know, she's sick now, and she's not feeling well, and we don't know why. And yeah, like you said, my wife was the fun person. We'd go do this, we'd go do that. She'd have all the energy in the world. And then she got tired, and then she'd kind of crash, and then she'd feel weak, and then she'd try to mask it. And that was part of it. And the more she would mask it, the more tired she would get, and the more frustrated I think she would get too. So.
Yeah, I can agree. When I first met Rachel, we met working together at a haunted house, and she had so much energy, and they put her up on this big old pedestal in this like evil church thing, and she'd be up there, and she'd be leaning over, leaning down at people, coming at them, and you know, hanging out with us afterwards. And we had so many just late nights hanging out, talking, spending time with one another, and getting late dinners because we couldn't close until the last person was through. So a lot of that time got spent just really sitting in a car in a driveway talking with each other and spending time that way because we were trying to keep things, you know, she already has her kids and I already had my son, trying to keep things more get to know you before that. But, you know, we still just got to do so many more things, and then things started taking that turn. And she told me that she had concerns about this before, and I watched this keep downward spiraling, and it wasn't getting better. It was progressively getting worse and worse and worse. And then I started getting to know her children. Next thing I know, here I am spending time with her kids because she couldn't, as much as she wanted to be there and hang out with the kids and play with them and like just watch a movie with us. She just didn't have that energy. And
Then that's like, if you break your leg, you go to the doctor, they put a cast on it. 4 months later, you're fine. This isn't all of a sudden, all these issues. It's so chronic and ongoing. But I've noticed that because her depression, anxiety, and everything going on, I get frustrated because I don't know how to, I just want her to be better. So I get frustrated and then I get grouchy. And so it's, you know, it's.
Yeah, I can, yeah.
yeah.
That's
And I-
definitely
Show him on
me.
his head, guys. I got grouchy with him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and there's no cast that I can put on it.
No,
I
you're
just,
right.
I tell her, I go, just go to the doctor and get better.
And you feel bad that you react that way.
Yeah, and then you eat those words, you know, 24 hours later, and you apologize, and then it happens again.
Yeah.
Sometimes 48, or sometimes 90 days, sometimes
Right.
30 days. But you are the biggest support system you can be for that woman, and it's tough. I mean, it's tough.
I mean, I go back to that word you used, where, you know, right away. I think all of us, it struck a note with all of us, and that was the word helpless. I think when that's not something we're commonly used to. I come from a strong Viking background where I was raised very hardcore in a lot of things. It's like, no, you never allow yourself to be helpless. You never allow weakness to take hold of your body, and then you see it happening and knowing that you cannot, like you said, put a cast on it.
We're guys, we
Bang it.
fix things.
Yeah, exactly.
And we
fix
can't
things
fix
when we
this.
couldn't fix it right.
And it's not okay to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Then that's a tough aspect to get past that, to say it's okay to be vulnerable.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's one thing I had to learn a lot. It was never something I was ever used to. Growing up in my life, I was surrounded by very, very strong women that went through hell and back just to even make it to this country. And to see everything that Rachel was going through, it really put me in a spin because I love her so much. And to see everything that was occurring was, it was a huge, not just a culture shock to me, but just, it turned my world upside down because of everything I was raised to believe. And, you know, it got to that point where, you know, we did separate. Trying to decipher what was going on, trying to understand, and all she could do was yell at me that I didn't understand, and all I could do was yell back, "You're right, I don't." And
That's a common
it,
occurrence.
it seems like that was,
Yeah.
you know, it seemed like
Pretty-
that was what it all surrounded by, and I just wasn't getting enough information from her, and she just didn't know how to actually say it to me. So there was a term where we did separate, and that separation did us both a lot of good. I was actually able to reflect a lot on a lot of the issues that I think being frustrated and feeling helpless, allowing those feelings to take hold of me, clouded my vision, clouded my judgment and everything else that was going on. And we were able to come back that much, just so much stronger after that. She carried the torch for both of us. I mean, the amount of strength that this woman has progressively shown to persevere through all this alone, but then to actually see us both through this difficult time. And, I can't begin to fathom how much strength that really took. And for me, that was probably one of the sexiest things I've ever known about her. I mean, I'm sorry, that's just hot. That's great. A woman that's strong, that can carry that much for not just you and herself, but her family, and bringing it all back together again. I think that, and then to set out on this mission, it has been massive. And we've just grown to get that much stronger now since. And I couldn't have asked for anything more than that she gets explanted, and to see this whole new color in her face, this whole new shine, everything about her, it just instant. It's like, there she is. That's the woman I fell in love with right there. Here she is, looking right at me. And it's been such a dramatic ride, and to see her continually change and just develop more and get healthier and healthier. I mean, to see that, it's like we're starting over all over again. At that point. Can anybody agree with that?
Oh, yeah. That's
I got a month.
100%. That's 100% true. Yeah.
I got a month, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah,
Is that.
it's amazing to see the color change in their face. I mean, that was the biggest thing we noticed. We got in the car and she took a picture of herself before we went in, and then the day we left, and it was like there was no more bags under her eyes. Her face wasn't swollen. I'm like, oh my god, and that's the most bizarre thing. And you wonder, is this really it? And you know, it's a true testament to what it is, and you know, the epidemic that they're dealing with. So, I heard you speak. It could be, you know, it could be a select few, it could be a minority, whatever, but it's definitely shown its face to be a curable signs of progression for my wife, getting them out. So hopefully they come to consensus on what we can do to fix the problem.
That was one of the ways that my wife got me to, or that was my wake-up call, is after all the things that she would send me for me to read and all
Yeah.
that stuff, it was, she started showing me the before and after.
That's
pictures.
exactly what she showed me, and I'm like, yeah, that's good. I
Yeah.
was like, let's go to the doctor and get it done now.
That's why I said, I don't know, find it.
She's like, I'm like, I don't care. No, just get rid of them.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, that was when she said I want an explant, I said, let's do it right now.
We did it within
Because
30 days, I think.
because I was convinced like she was, and we just wanted this nightmare to be over. You know, I wanted my girl back that I dated, you know, that I was attracted to, and just unreal how it just, she's back with the way she was 20 years ago.
And I was attracted to her before she had him anyway, so I'm like, it's not gonna be a different rate anyway.
Right, exactly.
So hearing all this, you've obviously dealt with many, many couples. I'm sure coming into your offices, discussing this with you. Have you seen a lot of separation with, well, I shouldn't say separation, but have you seen a lot of growing results with husbands and significant others getting more involved with this?
I've been a lot more involved in the in-depth conversations here today, and it's been very enlightening for me to kind of see what goes on behind the scenes, because I don't usually get this in-depth with regards to the social situation of my patients. Some of them are very open about it, and I talk about it, and I'm happy to have that conversation, but, you know, a lot of women are on their own, so I give you guys credit for sticking with them and supporting them, because I do see a lot of patients, women, both for implant and for explant, that are kind of just doing it on their own, to the best of my knowledge. I don't see a, you know, male figure in their support system. On the ones that do have, men in their life, you know, we talk very casually, but I don't really see what goes on, you know, behind the scenes to know whether this is really disrupting their personal life and creating the kind of havoc that I've seen and witnessed, here today. Although I'm sure it's ubiquitous in all of the, you know, the patients that I'm seeing after hearing your story, so I can't really, you know, answer that question well, because I don't see it in my practice that much, but I'm sure it exists.
For the husbands that do get involved, do you get the third degree from them a lot?
Meaning, no, I mean,
They're like, okay, tell me everything, doc, tell me everything now. I didn't know.
yeah, I don't know if it's my demographic or just the patients that I see, but, you know, they're usually very understanding, they're not accusatory, they're not demanding, they're, you know, I'm there to help them. I don't typically have patients come in and, you know, get upset related to why they got breast implants and why they weren't diagnosed in a timely fashion and why they're having these symptoms. I mean, by the time they're coming to see me, they just wanna get the implants out, they wanna resolve the problem, and we're not really, you know, having these conversations about what if this and what if that. So, it's usually a pretty straightforward decision-making process. They've already decided they want, I mean, there's not a whole lot of, you know, conversation to make the decision. They've already decided, that's why they're coming in. I want the implants out, I want you to do the surgery, when can we schedule? That's, you know, it's a pretty streamlined decision-making process.
I think one more topic that I think is very, very important, and it's probably gonna be the hardest one that many of us have looked at, is at any point, did any of us ever look at our spouses and wonder, is she gonna make it through this? Did that question ever come into play? Because I know for a lot of women it did, like, this is, I'm dying, or I'm going to die, or we're ready to die. I mean, did we ever, has any of you ever looked there and go, oh my God, I don't know if this is, did you ever have doubts that she'd make it?
Well, yeah, I mean, from the depression, I was, you know, afraid that she was gonna kill herself. I mean, she, you know, the gun in the mouth situation that happened with her, and I had to take the guns, hide the guns in the house. She was really depressed, and I didn't know what to do. I was helpless. I didn't know how to deal with it, or going to work every day thinking, am I gonna come home, there's gonna be, you know, finding her dead. It was my reality at that time. And it was, the stress was just insurmountable. It's just,
Anybody else deal with anything like that? Kind of look at the whole mortality of the situation?
Go ahead.
Nothing to that extent.
Yeah.
Just, you know, it was, she was so vibrant, so alive, and then you just flip the switch, and then she couldn't even barely kind of carry on a conversation. It was just like, took the life right out of her. And I can't believe that we're here now talking about this again. It's unbelievable.
It's amazing. I mean, I don't think I realized the extent of what kind of problems this was, you know, causing in everybody's personal life. And I think by and large, probably most plastic surgeons don't see this kind of interaction and have the exposure to really understand what's going on behind the scenes. Because, like I said, when I see patients, you know, I'm tired, I got brain fog, okay, take your implants out. But it's never really to the extent that I'm witnessing today with regards to how it really impacts everybody's life, not only the patients, but their family and everybody that's involved.
Well, thank you very much for being a part of it.
My pleasure.
Anybody else got anything they'd like to bring up to it?
Yeah, I just would say it turned in, like you said, with the anxiety and depression, somebody that was never on any type of maintenance medication to being on that regularly, and it was like a buffet every night at bedtime. I'm like, what is all this nonsense? And it was a Band-Aid, and we'd feel good for a week or two, and it'd be like, all right, I'm like, all right, let's hit it. We'd go camping one night, and I'm like, I'm going to bed. And she'd want to stay up. I'm like, are you better? And then it should slowly diminish. But and to your testament, we were thankful that we didn't have to go down that road. But she's a pretty strong woman. And I know a lot of your wives are and girlfriends are, but yeah, thankfully we didn't.
thank you, Dr. Pryor, for coming
Thanks for
here.
having me.
Yeah,
Thank you for being a part of this, because
Yeah.
Absolutely.
we need more people in the medical field to
Right.
kind of champion this, because, you know, being in or emergency medicine, pre-hospital care, if it's not in our SOGs or our protocols, we can't do it. So I understand the medical side of, hey, you know, there's not enough studies about this that, you
I
know,
think it's really helpful to get us together to kind of share our perspective, because there's obviously a major problem
Yeah.
here, and it needs to be addressed.
With more doctors like you, I think we can come to a resolution to this.
Very open-minded.
Good.
That's a cut!
All right.